Record. What city do you live in?
I live in Houston, Texas.
And what is the weather like outside?
Oh, it's hot,
All
sunny
right.
and
All
hot.
right, so we're
Okay,
recording
good.
here, and what we're doing is we're creating a video um, kind of archive about the Paris brothers and sisters. And so I'm going to ask you a series of questions about um, your childhood and growing up. So, what is your full name?
Myra and Paris Hunt.
And why did your parents select this name for you?
They named me after a neighbor.
And did you have a nickname?
Yes. Do I have to tell you what it is?
Yeah, yes, you did.
Squirrel gravy.
Squirrel what?
Gravy.
Okay, squirrel gravy.
I understand squirrel. I'm a climber. Gravy, I don't understand.
Okay, good.
But I love gravy.
Okay, all right. When and where were you born?
I was born on April the 18th, 1949 in Coleman, Alabama.
Were you born at Coleman Hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, what was the house like that you grew up in? Like, how many rooms did it have and
It was a
bathrooms?
5-room house. It did not have a bathroom. We had a front porch and a back porch.
Okay, did you have electricity?
Yes, we
Okay.
had electricity.
Did you have telephone?
Yes, we had a telephone.
Okay.
And TV, black and white.
You had a TV?
We
Okay.
had a TV, black and white.
Myra, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is sitting with my dad and my brothers and sisters around my age in the kitchen and peeking through the little door, seeing my older sisters bring Christmas presents in the front door.
Let's go back to the recording. Okay. What was the favorite thing that you did for fun? Like, did you ever go to the movies or vacations or things?
No, Daddy would take us to town to shop for clothes once a year.
Okay.
We would go to my aunt's house, my mother's sister house in Birmingham, and we'd stay a week every year. That was a lot of fun because it was different. We wasn't in the fields working.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Did you have chores and what were they?
Oh my goodness, we always had. I tell all my sisters are great cooks. Me, I don't like to cook, period.
Right.
Um, but I can make up beds and iron clothes with the best of them. That was my job.
Okay. What was your least favorite chore?
Ironing my brother's work clothes when they worked for Texaco service station.
Okay. Um, what was school like for you as a child? What were your best and worst subjects?
I have always been good at math and terrible at English.
Okay. Well, where did you go to grade school, junior high, or high school? And tell me about that.
I went to Providence School, which is not even there anymore, and it was just a mile from home, so a lot of times we could walk to school. From there, I went there through the 6th grade. I remember in the 6th grade, it was kind of a shock because there was about 6 students in the 6th grade, and 3 of the girls' name was Myra.
Mm,
So you can see it was a neighborhood thing.
I can see how that could be kind of confusing. Well, when you were in like junior high or high school, were you involved in any activities outside of like clubs or sports or music or anything?
In junior high school, now junior high, I went to Beaumont High School, and there I was office assistant, so I got to work in the office with the principal, and I enjoyed that
Okay.
very much.
Do you remember any fads when you were in high school, like popular clothes, hairstyles, or music?
Well, the hairstyles was, there was some teasing going on, and most people wore their hair around shoulder length. And as fads, no, I don't remember any fads.
Okay. Um, do you have a favorite song or music that you like?
My favorite singer back then was Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson.
Anything that that boy sang, I loved.
Okay. Cool. Um, what?
Actually, Alicia's mother tore a poster off my bedroom wall that I had, a big poster of Ricky Nelson,
Why did Barbara do that?
just to aggravate me, because she knew I was such a fan of his.
Well,
She's just being funny.
I'll have to. We'll have to talk to you about that some other time. What was your religion growing up? What church did you go off?
Church of Christ.
And did you go often?
Yes.
How often?
We went every Sunday, and we went to, when they had revival, we went to revival. We tried to go every night to revival. Sometimes we got to go on Sunday night, but very seldom did we get to go on Wednesday night. My Aunt Lydia, my dad's sister, always made sure that we had a way to church every Sunday.
Um, were you or any members of your family in the newspaper as you were growing up?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. Were you ever? Can you think of any world events that when you were growing up that you remembered, and did they affect your family at all?
Well, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated when I was growing up. I think that was it in 1964?
63.
63. I think it was somewhere right along there. And see, I graduated in 1967.
Well, tell me about breakfast and dinner and supper and things. Did you guys eat as a family, and tell me about that.
Yes, we did eat as a family. I always loved Mother's biscuits. To this day, I love biscuits. Mother would always make a big pan of biscuits and a big bowl of gravy. Now, I couldn't stand my brothers eating when Daddy would kill a hog because they would eat the tongue. And Daddy would scramble the brains.
Oh, scrambled brains. Okay. Um, what is the oldest relative that you remember, and what do you remember about it?
The oldest relative?
Yeah.
That would be my grandmother, Paris. She died when she was 94.
Was that Dixie?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about Dixie.
Oh, I love Grandma Dixie. She always had she had a pink bowl, and she always made a big bowl of cookies. And we'd go by on our way to the field, whether it was chopping cotton or hoeing cotton or whatever, and get us a pocket full of cookies.
Okay.
Grandma always had a bowl full of cookies. And she made the best double-decker apple pies. But I don't know how.
I've heard about those apple pies.
Oh, delicious, delicious.
When and how did you meet your spouse?
I met Glenn in Coleman. We were just, some friends of mine were just riding around, and we just sort of introduced ourselves, pulled up and introduced ourselves.
Okay. How did you feel when you found out you were going to be a parent for the first time?
Scared. Of course, I was 20 years old. I was scared. I thought, what in the world is going to happen now? How is this going to be? But I was very fortunate. I had a great child.
Good. Well, how did you choose your children's names?
I just chose names that I liked. Now, my middle child, Angelia, I wanted to name her Daniela, but I had promised Dale, my brother, that's just younger than myself, that if I had a girl, another girl, I would name her Angelia. So I fixed that. I named her Angelia Daniela. I'm out.
Okay. Um, what are some of the your proudest memories of your children? Um, what are some of your proudest memories as being a parent?
Uh, well, my son Nicholas, he was always very calm as a child. And one time I mashed my finger off the end of one of my fingers. He was just as calm. He just said, he went and got me a wet washcloth and brought it to me. He said, "Here, mother." And he stayed with me till someone else came to help me, which I was very proud of. Now, Angelia, she's always been just like me. I tell her we're two peas in a pod, and that's scary sometimes. But my best, I can still just close my eyes and see Angelia running with her red pigtails just flapping in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
She was always a very loving child. Now, Cynthia, she was always active, and always doing something. But she tell her brother and sister how to maneuver mom and dad.
Mm. So that was one of your proudest moments, then?
Well, I don't say it's proud, but it's true to this day. But guess what? Cynthia's daughter now, Harper, spitting image of Cynthia. I tell her all the time, Harper's just like you, but she's smarter. And she's 2.5 now, and already Cynthia's getting some payback time,
Mm-hmm.
which I think's funny.
I think on a side note, my dad said, "I hope you grow up someday and have kids just like you." Uh, okay, well, let's a couple of more questions, and then I'll stop recording. Um, what was your profession, and how did you choose it?
Mm. Well, I was a secretary for 14 years, an insurance secretary, and I was just looking for a job. Not necessarily chose that profession, but that's what was open and what came along. Um, and I stayed in that position for 14 years. And then during that time, Glenn and I married, and he went into the faded dairy business. That I never liked. It was very hard. Hardest work I've ever done in my life was dairy farming. But then my brother-in-law turned my name in to GM, and that's how I got on with GM. My name was selected. And when I went up for the interview, I just had a ball. We just played. I didn't know at the time that it was assembly. I thought we was just playing.
Oh, okay.
But it was fun, and everybody was good.
All right. Well,
Now, I worked for GM for 22.2 years before I retired.
and that was the Saturn plant in Smyrna, Tennessee. Is that right?
In Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Spring Hill.
Saturn
Oh, sorry.
plant in Spring Hill.
Sorry.
I retired when I turned 60.
Okay. Last couple of questions. Of all the things that you learned from your parents, what do you feel was the most valuable?
Love of God.
And what accomplishments are you most proud of?
That of raising all my children, that they all believe in God and pray, and that they all have a fairly good sense of humor. Angelia's got the best sense of humor. Sometimes Nicholas and Cynthia just flies right over their head, but Angela will catch it every time. But my children, I'm proud of all my children.
Great. Well, this is my last question, Myra. What is the one thing you most want people to remember about you?
Just that I was a kind person and that I love family and God.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for participating, and I hope our plan is to share your part with you. And